Thank you for your introduction. I'm Yoshihiro Banchi from Waseda University. Now I'm talking about estimation of motion sickness in automated vehicle with deep learning and data augmentation using stereoscopic visual simulation. Automated driving involves a variety of technologies. For example, a sensing technology such as LiDAR. LiDAR allows us to see what is around a car. Another is a computing technology, such as deep learning, that can process large amount of multidimensional information acquired by sensors. These technologies have developed automated vehicle technology considerably over the past few years. Traditionally, motion sickness has been a concern as a negative effect of riding a vehicle. In particular, it has been reported that people in the passenger seat are more likely to get motion sickness than the driver. One of the reasons why drivers don't tend to get motion sickness is the effect of the agency. Agency is a sense of control a user has over their current environment or situation. Drivers know how to move the one direction or the acceleration in the next, but passengers don't know it. So passengers are less agency than drivers. In automated driving, there will be no driver, all will be passengers. So all passengers will be exposed to the risk of motion sickness. It is necessary to pay attention to the driver's condition, such as motion sickness during automated driving under emergency situation. In addition to vehicles, other environments that can cause symptoms similar to motion sickness include the viewing images, such as in 3D, VR, and other things. Sensory conflict theory has been proposed as a mechanism that can cause motion sickness. The theory states that motion sickness is caused by visual or somatosensory information that is inconsistent with expected information based on past experience. On the other hand, automated driving motion sickness and simulator-based motion sickness are considered separately. But there are reports that motion sickness is more likely to occur in VR due to a decrease in agency. So there are similarity between automated sickness and VR sickness in terms of less agency condition. Many studies about motion sickness have been conducted. Among them, we have been studying the relationship between motion sickness and physiological indicators. We use a deep learning model to estimate the discomfort during continuous task performance from physiological indicators in a mixed reality environment by comparing with 2D monitor condition. From the result, it was suggested that motion sickness could be predicted to some extent. To improve the accuracy of the prediction, a large number of samples are required. However, it is difficult to increase human samples, especially in recent, due to COVID-19. Based on the previous study, we aimed to develop a system that estimates the occurrence and early detection of motion sickness for automated driving. In addition to estimation, in this study, we considered data augmentation under the COVID situation. Since there are similarities in the mechanism such as sensory conflict and lack of agency, we conducted the experiment in two environments, actual vehicle and stereoscopic VR. That means the data obtained in the actual vehicle environment plus augmented data using stereoscopic simulation, and we verified the effectiveness. Two experiments were conducted. One is an actual vehicle experiment, and the other is a stereoscopic simulation experiment. In both environments, the lack of agency leads to motion sickness. On the other hand, the actual vehicle experiment presents smart sensory perception, while the stereoscopic simulation does not. In the actual vehicle experiment, participants were seated in the passenger seat and measured subjective motion sickness level and the physiological indicator during driving. Several driving patterns were set in advance for the courses, and among them, patterns that are easily to get motion sickness were combined. This table shows the driving pattern in the experiment. Specifically, the driving course was a combination of quickly turning to the left and right, turning, and emergency acceleration and braking. Drivers were professional and trained to drive the course at the same pace. The VR image is a shot of the driving course of experiment 1. Specifically, a VR camera was attached to the head and taken while driving in experiment 1. We used the VR camera Insta360 Evo, which can shoot VR 180 in 3D. In the stereoscopic simulation, participants put on a headset and obtained motion sickness level and the physiological indicator during watching 3D VR 180 images. As a subjective indicator, motion sickness level was obtained. Participants were asked to answer every 10 seconds in 3 levels of motion sickness, 1, 2, or 3. 1 is nothing, 2 is slightly sickness, or 3 is highly sickness. As objective indicators, several blood flow, pulse rate, acceleration, and electrodermal activity were measured using 2 devices, HOT 2000, a near-infrared spectroscopy, and the biosignal plugs, a biosignal sensor. LF over HF was also calculated from the pulse rate. The same indicators were measured for both experiment 1 and 2. First, we explained the purpose of the experiment and informed consent was obtained. Then the various devices were attached for measurement purpose. In experiment 1, the participants were asked to sit in the passenger seat. To ensure stable measurement and posture, they placed their left hand on a zig and rightly gripped the door handle with their right hand. In experiment 2, the participants were asked to sit in the bucket seat. They wear the headset, Bipro VR headset. What the participants should do was only verbally rate their motion sickness level every 10 seconds with electronic metronome. And it was checked before starting the stimulation. And then the simulation was started. In case a participant suffered extreme motion sickness, the experiment was stopped. Within each indicator, there are many participants' data and time interval data with missing values, and they were excluded from the analysis data. This figure shows that the result of the average motion sickness level every 10 seconds. In the plot, the horizontal axis indicates the time interval, and the vertical axis indicates the average of motion sickness in all participants. In both experiments, it can be seen that motion sickness level increased toward the later of the experiment. Analysis of variance for time shows a significant difference in both experiments. These objective indicators were normalized for each participant. This figure shows that the result of the electrodermal activity, the mean value and standard error for each time interval. In particular, it can be seen that the variability is larger in the actual vehicle than stereoscopic simulation. Analysis of variance shows a significant difference in both experiments. This figure shows pass rate result. In particular, it can be seen that the variability is larger in the actual vehicle than stereoscopic simulation. It can be also seen changes similar to that of EDA. Analysis of variance shows a significant difference in both experiments. For the model to predict motion sickness, a deep learning model based on one-dimensional convolutional neural network was used. The model had 3 convolution, pooling, and dropout layers, and 2 fully connected layers. In the last fully connected layer, we input the predicted value for motion sickness in the previous interval. The data were divided every 10 seconds to predict motion sickness level. As explanatory variable, objective indicator that were EDA, pass rate, and LF/HF were used. As objective variable, motion sickness was used. When predicting motion sickness, as there were few cases of 3, so it was set to be 0 and 1. So we set motion sickness level 1 to 0, and motion sickness level 2 and 3 to 1. In fact, DNA models were created for each of experiment 1 and 2, and performed 4-fold cross-validation. These tables show a summary of the confusion matrix of the cross-validation. Left is experiment 1, and right is experiment 2. As you can see, both can be predicted with a certain level of accuracy. However, the sickness prediction tend to be lower than nothing one. To validate the effect of augmentation of the training data from experiment 2, training by combining the data of experiment 2 with the data of experiment 1, and verifying the accuracy with the data of experiment 1, just like performed similarly to 4-fold cross-validation on the left image. The accuracy is better than the prediction with data from only experiment 1. F1 score of sickness is also better. That means sickness prediction accuracy also improved. In both experiments, you can see that the motion sickness level increased toward the later of the experiment, and significant changes in objective indicators were in the start and smaller toward the later. On the other hand, the variability of objective indicator was smaller in the stereoscopic simulation than in the actual vehicle. These results mean that a similar trend was shown in subjective and objective indicators. It is suggested that a possibility of data augmentation in the stereoscopic simulation, but the variability was smaller in the stereoscopic simulation. It might be influenced by the presence or absence of somatosensory perception. This study was conducted to estimate automated driving motion sickness and validate data augmentation using stereoscopic image simulation. From the result, it was confirmed that the motion sickness estimation is possible with a certain level of accuracy. It was suggested that the estimation accuracy of sickness in actual vehicles could be improved by augmentation of the training data using stereoscopic image simulation. This suggests that even in an environment where it is difficult to conduct repeated experiments, if a commonality mechanism is recognized, data measured by stereoscopic image simulation can be utilized for deep learning and other data applications. On the other hand, since different trends may be observed for individual indicators such as objective and subjective indicators, you should take care in handling the data. Thank you for your kind attention.